I'm Sarah Starr, and this is your space weather forecast for the day. Our coronal hole has gotten a lot bigger. We've had several M-class flares, several filament eruptions, and we have that chance of having an X-class flare. But before we get into the solar weather, let's talk about the energy today. So today we are unearthing those missing puzzle pieces that are putting together this big picture. Those emotions are rapidly changing, so the intensity has died down. And our intuition is a lot stronger today. So it is giving us that ability to start picking up on those energies that you can start reading between those lines. Although as we get closer to this new moon, you might feel a little bit frustrated. You might feel a little bit confused because we're going to be gaining a lot more clarity within the next week. So your inner realm is going to be challenged as we struggle kind of to integrate this new energy. But remember, this is new energy that we are integrating right now. All the planetary alignments are going to set us up for this new year. And this new year in 2024 is big. Did you feel the intensity of all of the emotions yesterday? Were you triggered from it? Do you feel that confusion, that frustration along with it? There's a lot of new energy, a lot of integration. We're still integrating. So let's check out the solar weather and see how that accumulates into all this. So here's the Schumann today. So we have a little bit of collective purging, not too much, still in this integration mode. Yet again, those emotions, that confusion, those triggers. But remember, ease this gracefully into your system. Do not push against it. It will push back. And on top of all of the integration, we have all of this light that is coming in. Look at the M-class flares, pretty much from the same exact region, which is 3511, and we will take a look at that. So basically, all of the solar flares that we have had have came from the same region, which is 3511. It gave us 4 M-class flares. 3513 also is in beta and gamma range, throwing us some light. But obviously, these two regions are really popping off. We have a 10% chance of having some X-class flares from these regions. So we have 8 sunspots right now. Note that our coronal hole is right around here, a lot bigger, mind you. I'm gonna show you that here in a second, but 3513 we're gonna look at, and 3511. This is 3511. Beta and gamma range has went down on its size and the number of sunspots as it turns off of the southeastern limb. We had those M-class flares that sent us into an R1 minor radio blackout. We also had a filament eruption in the same southeastern quadrant, although there are no Earth-directed components because it did throw us a small CME. Also noted, there are no Earth-directed components because of how far off of the limb that this was shooting out. But look at the percentage, 10% for that X-class flare. Proton levels did go up too, so 10% for here. So we do have a slight chance of having a solar radiation storm due to that. 40% chance for an M-class flare, and we're obviously getting lots and lots of C-class flares from here. Now 3511 gave us all of these M-class flares, sent us in tons of radio blackouts. These are the newest flares today. We had a 2.3 today. Yesterday we had those 2 M-class flares. And then this is 3513. So it did go up in size. It went up in the number of sunspots. It is in beta and gamma range. Notice the percentage of proton levels, same thing. This is why we have a higher percent chance of having that solar radiation storm. 10% also for an X-class flare. Although I will say that this one is really spreading apart. This is pretty much the only prominent region that we have. As it spreads apart, it'll pass through those pockets, giving us a slight chance of having a larger flare here. But we do have a 30% chance of having an M-class flare from here, 75% for those C-class. And 3513 is right above our coronal hole. So this is how big it is now. It has increased in its size. We have these little tiny pockets also developing here, but it is going to be Earth facing here in the next day or so, and that is going to increase our solar winds. It is going to increase any of those flares that are going to be sent our way, because obviously there are, and it's right above the region that is popping off. So, and this is what I mean. This is 3511 here. These are our coronal holes, and tons of filaments. Look at all of these filaments here. Oh my gosh. So we have a big chance of having more filament eruptions. But note the coronal hole is larger in size today. Now our solar winds are pretty much non-existent. We're actually at a KP 0. I did see it increase to 1 and then go back down to a 0. But we are at nominal levels until the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th. So this is what's going to happen. We're going to have a very weak enhancement from that CME that left on December 5th. It was very slow moving, very, very weak. But we are going to see a little bit of an increase in our solar winds because of this. There will be no density to this. There will be no pressure to this. This is all just a velocity, very small, weak enhancement. So our solar activity levels are kind of moderate right now, especially with those 2 sunspot regions that are really lighting up. We do have a slight chance at reaching those S1 solar radiation storms, pretty much due to the probability of 3511 and 3513. And we also have a slight chance of having an R3, which is a strong radio blackout, and an X-class flare along with that from exact same regions as well. So have you felt those intense Scorpio energies the past couple of days? Do you feel them continuing today? Were you able to put a stop to it? That's the thing. That's the big thing. If you were triggered, were you able to stop yourself from going further and creating more damage? Because remember, yes, it is very healthy to express yourself, but you need to figure out a healthier way to do it, not only for the people that you're dealing with, but also for yourself, mainly for yourself. Be kind to people, be kind to yourself. I'm Sarah Starr, and this is your space weather forecast for the day. Love ya!